I'm Stan, CTO at IABM, and I'm here with David from Beam Dynamics. And you guys are working on what's called asset intelligence. So what is that?
Yeah, so it's really an understanding of the life cycle of all the assets that are used on a production. So it's really what are the financial implications, operational and technical, that are required to keep that asset up, live, and working so that productions don't go down.
So it's different than business intelligence, though.
Correct, because all the teams that work on productions rely on different types of technology, whether that's a camera, whether that's a playout system, whether that's a server. So there's hardware and software involved, but there's not a central system to manage all of that in one place, to understand what service issues that particular asset might have, when it's due for upgrades. It's typically spread across hundreds or thousands of different vendors and manufacturers, internal knowledge from engineers on how they fix things, but there's really not a central place to manage that. And as a result, downtime happens, things get lost, things fall through the cracks.
So traditionally, people were just doing that on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes. Yes, they were typically doing on an Excel spreadsheet, but there were some systems that tried to make a stand at it, but it required the user to enter all the information. And why we call our platform Asset Intelligence is that we actually work directly with vendors and manufacturers and are able to pull in all of the firmware and software updates, manuals, contact information, as well as to look for trends. So we can actually see what are the service tickets that are being created for this particular asset, what other customers are affected by that, what potential downtimes is this asset going to have, or how much are you going to spend on service over the next 2, 3, 4 years. With Asset Intelligence, we can actually combine the data to provide engineers and technicians and even CFOs the data that they need to make better decisions on how they actually deploy technology across their environments.
Right, so let's just touch on that for a minute. When we discuss assets, of course, you mean both hardware and software.
Correct. Yes, yes, yes.
And a lot of people forget about some of those aspects. So really, when you're keeping the CFO happy, it's understanding where some of the OpEx versus a CapEx crossovers are.
Yes, and we also see that a lot of assets that are owned, they have SLAs or different licenses tied to them. But we see more and more that for larger organizations that have 10,000 or more different assets, that a lot of times they're paying for SLAs and service agreements that are for assets that are already disposed or that are non-working. And so we see that most major organizations have about 5 to 10% of assets that are still on their books, but are no longer in active use or disposed. And that comes at a huge cost to the organization.
Yeah, so you're actually saving the money. So just tell me about some of the projects you've worked on.
Yes, so we are starting to roll out actually across the globe. So in the United States, we're working with Citi Field and New York Mets. We've done some projects with NEP Group in the United States as well, and really trying to help create a better understanding of the ownership of these assets at some of these larger organizations. So working both with broadcast groups, with OB and outside broadcast companies, and starting to get more and more into more of the live production space as well through concert venues and house of worship.
That's great. Great chatting with you, David.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.